I think a first in the nation. And so I went up, and my first time going to a Democratic state convention, and I saw what they meant in the smoke-filled rooms, because I was in there with him late at night and watched him get the nomination, which I reported back to Bob Millender. And then after he successfully got the nomination, I came back to Detroit, and I was asked to help with Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. And then as the race
in the Austin
campaign. And then as the race started to tighten up, it was then Wayne County, and then it was the city of Detroit, all at the direction of Bob Millender. And we were very fortunate that Richard Austin won.
Yes.
Bob Millender was an outstanding and brilliant political strategist. And it was just a thrill to work at his direction. And also had a chance to meet another young lawyer at that time by the name of Jim Blanchard.
Mm-hmm.
And in and around about that time, he was either starting or getting ready to help, or was involved with Frank Kelly.
Okay.
And Frank Kelly.
This is Frank Kelly as Attorney General
Yes.
at the time, and Blanchard would have been recently out of law school himself, right?
I would guess that'd be about right. And he was helping Attorney General Frank Kelly in his campaign, as I was helping Dick Austin. And the two of them, Kelly and Austin, I mean, you couldn't find people who got to be closer and friends, and how people just got along with each other. And I'd never flown in an airplane before, especially one of those small airplanes where you could only put 4 people. Oh my goodness, we were traveling around the state. We were coming home one time, and I looked out my window, and out of the cloud bank, I could see that tall, by City Airport, a very tall tower, whatever was out. It looked like a furnace to me. I saw it, and my eyes got big. I was happy to be on the ground when we landed. But he went on, as Frank did. They both won the election that year. That was my first real victory in sense of it. And then what I found...
Were you essentially a staff person, or were you just...
I was a volunteer.
A volunteer.
I was a volunteer,
okay.
And happy to do it.
Yep.
And the more I saw how politics worked, and it really helped to win, because we lost the first one I was in, first campaign we were in, I just started enjoying politics. And so I would continue to help folks who were running for office that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed it. Still do.
Yeah, well, and you're still very active in it,
Yes.
for sure. Do I hear correctly that you were cutting some new inroads, or involved in that, with the Austin campaign, first African American running as Secretary of State? You were confronting racial realities in both going to law school, where you could go or feel comfortable, as well as where you could work. Was that reflect on that as the cutting edge issues of race at that time?
What impressed me the most during that time, despite all of the challenges that the lawyers whose shoulders I stood on, the indignities that they had to deal with, that nevertheless these were some of the most successful lawyers that you will ever want to find. And as I looked and met with them, we started when we were at the Detroit College of Law. We started the Wolverine Bar Law Student Association. And then when we graduated, we got involved with the Wolverine Bar Association as lawyers.
The Wolverine Bar Association being organized black or African American attorneys not welcome, or in the Michigan bar and American bar, or was there tension there?
The American bar had a long history of discriminatory practices. The American Bar Association would not allow lawyers of color to be members. Back in 1908, a lawyer and former dean at Howard's Law School, J. Clay Smith, prolific writer. Anyway, J. Clay Smith wrote about how 3 then colored lawyers were found to be members of the ABA. When the ABA found out about it, summarily put them out and then changed the application so that if you wanted to join the American Bar, you had to list your ethnicity.
When was this?
1908. And so anytime that somebody wanted to join the American Bar, and if members of the legal community did not know that person, they would go to the law office of that person to look at them to make sure that they were not a person of color. That changed in 1943 when they changed their application. And I believe that the first person of color to join the American Bar was William Coleman, who was clerking then for Mr. Justice Felix Frankfurter, who insisted, urged, and made him join the American Bar Association. And then others around the country, unknown to me who they were, but started to join. And so when I was in law school, I joined the law student division because I wanted to find out more about what lawyers did. So I was in the Wolverine Bar law student section, and I was in the the law student division of the ABA, trying to find out as much as I could. Donald Campbell, the professor I mentioned earlier, before I graduated from law school, just as I was ready to graduate, asked me to come by his office, and he said, "Dennis, what I've observed is that we've had some very bright and talented law students here. But after they graduate, what I see and observe is that it's a natural inclination and that they gravitate to the black bar, in this case the Wolverine Bar. And I would urge you to consider doing both. I would urge you to consider being involved in the White Bar or the Detroit Bar Association, State Bar of Michigan. And the way you can distinguish yourself, because we've got about 17,000 lawyers. We've got about 42,000 now, I think. But we've got about 17,000 lawyers. You ought to think about writing from time to time. So I thanked him for his advice, promptly joined the Wolverine Bar Association, and met John Kersel, who was a lawyer here at Dickinson Wright. And John Kersel got me involved with the Judicial Qualifications Committee of the Detroit Bar Association, and get involved with the Young Lawyers section of the Detroit Bar Association. Now it's called Barristers, but then it was the Young Lawyers.
The judicial qualifications, you would be reviewing candidates for judicial positions.
Who were seeking to be elected to whether it's Supreme Court, Circuit Court, Common Pleas Court at the time, etc. And I really enjoyed it, and the politics of it all and the like, and I really enjoyed it. And so John got me involved there, and I ran the chairs, became chair of the Detroit Young Lawyers section. And then I got involved and became a member of the council of the Young Lawyers section of the State Bar of Michigan. Went on to become president of the Wolverine Bar. And today you've got black bars all across the state. We're in Lansing, in Ann Arbor, Flint, Grand Rapids, and statewide you have a number of different black bar associations. So things have evolved.
You eventually became the first African American to head the Michigan and the American Bar Association.
I think I was the 50th president of the State Bar of Michigan. I was president from 1984 to 1985. I was president of the National Bar Association from 1983 to 84. Left that and went into the State Bar of Michigan.
Okay.
And then ultimately in 2002, after I stepped down from being mayor in December 31 of 2001, in February of 2002, I was nominated to become president-elect of the American Bar Association, was so elected in August of that year, and then 2003, 2004, I was president of the American Bar.
And how did you wind up in the state Supreme Court? You mentioned you had met and got to know Jim Blanchard. He then became governor. You first met him when you were working on the Austin campaign, and he was working on the Kelly campaign.
Met him and was really delighted with what I saw in his energy and the like. There were a lot of things that I thought were compatible about both of us. And we sort of remained in touch. And then when I heard that he was thinking about running for Congress, I volunteered. I mean, it wasn't in my city,
Right.
but I volunteered because I liked and respected who Jim Blanchard was, what I thought he was doing, and he was someone, in my view, that was a role model for a lot of folks, including me. And here's somebody who's now running for and had a real good shot at being the elected as a United States congressman at a very young age. He got elected and still stayed in touch. And I maintained my interest in Democratic politics in terms of helping other candidates run. I was helpful to Blair Moody the first time he ran, and then lost, and then ran and won. When former Governor G. Mena Williams announced that he was going to run, I helped when he was being nominated by the party, and then helped after his election. Thomas Giles Kavanaugh, just enjoyed helping candidates. And
These were all volunteer.
Always, yeah. John Conyers, and I ran former Judge George Crockett's campaign when he ran to win. I was his campaign manager when he ran to replace Charles Diggs after Congressman Diggs had his challenges and it opened up the seat. And so I ran his campaign. I ran Mayor Coleman Young's first re-election campaign. The campaign director was Bob Millender, and he asked me to be the campaign manager.
I think I didn't know that until yesterday. I had not connected you with the Coleman Young campaign. It was his first re-election campaign. Right?
Yes, because Bob ran his campaign for in 1973, but interestingly enough, I was running Ed Bell's campaign for mayor in 1973. We all thought that because there was a state law, state statute, that said that if you were a member of the judiciary or if you were a member of the legislature, while if you were in the House, you could run for Senate. If you're in the Senate, you could run for the House. But if you ran for an office outside of that, you had to resign 1 year before the primary election. Same thing if you were a judge, you wanted to run for something outside of the judiciary, you'd have to resign and then run to be eligible to run. And so there was just no way that Coleman Young, who didn't announce was going to be able to run. And so there are a lot of us who wanted to make a statement. We thought the city of Detroit, while it was still very largely majority white as a city, that we thought the time was ripe for a person of color